And it looks like we are live. Got to give a second, guys, to allow the stream to breathe. Get our Facebook groups in here really quickly. Hopefully, everyone's having a great rest of the week so far and everything. Mile high, hello, everybody. Broncos country. Welcome into another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. I am your host, Lance Sanderson. Joining me, as per usual, is my good friend and colleague. He is Mile High Huddle senior NFL draft analyst, the one and only Erick Trickel. Erick, man, this week in general, from Sunday to today, has been a roller coaster of emotions for Broncos fans. And that roller coaster is literally on the straight down. Like, optimism was at an all-time high coming into this season. After this week, with the injuries to Javonte Williams in the Raiders game, you've got Garrett Bowles last night, Ronald Darby again last night. This team's beaten, battered, and bruised, coming off of 2 straight losses of very winnable games, man. How are you feeling today?
Well, my ribs hurt because I was laughing so hard during the game. And my mental health is completely destroyed because I was an idiot and decided to watch that game back right after, basically. And not only that, I stayed up late to do it. Like, I was up till almost 2 a.m. watching the game over. Because even after I was done with my thread on Twitter, I watched the game back another time. Yeah, like, it's rough. It's so rough, you can't help but laugh at it.
We were just talking with Scott. Scott's with us tonight, guys. At Scott Kennedy behind the scenes, running the ones and twos. Thanks, Scott, for joining us. It was a comedy of errors. Just the execution up front on the offensive line was terrible. Russell Wilson looks off continuously. The spacing and the timing of the route designs and play designs is just not there right now. It's been frustrating. And I want to go through this. You know, we've got some changes that we want to propose. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun with this. It's going to be a lighthearted kind of an episode. I feel like we're already off strong on that one. But it's just been rough. Like, it really is. How dare you exist? The game was a hilarious disaster. And how dare you? Yes, it was. It was a hilarious disaster. It was one of the worst football games, top to bottom, from both teams I've ever seen in my life.
And I just got to grab this from Brad saying, well, Erick, do we start talking about the draft? What's the point, though? Like, we don't have a pick until the 3rd round. It's like, hey, we get to talk up first-round prospects for the top 10 pick we're seemingly sending to Seattle. We don't even get the relief of talking about the draft like we have in previous years. And I think that's part of what makes this year so much harder to digest, is there is no light at the end of the tunnel, at least for the next season and a half, going to the end of 2023. There's no light there. And even then, depending on what happens, is you're still stuck with Russ. Like, You better hope he turns it around, because otherwise you paid $245 million. And I fully stand by the fact that they were right to pay him before seeing him take a snap, because of the contracts that were possibly coming up. Lamar Jackson, weren't sure about his status. The other guys that are getting quarterbacks up there. It was right to pay him now, or pay him when they did. It just turned out terribly. And it was a thing of, they should have put him in the preseason a little bit to help protect themselves and at least get some reps and seen a little bit of football first. But it's whatever. But it's turn it around. Otherwise, again, you just threw that money and you basically threw it in a fire.
Pretty much, yeah. And you also put a rookie head coach out there. There's one that made all those decisions, and you put him into a really bad place. I mean, I guess he put himself in that bad place. The execution, like we said, is just terrible. You know, there's so many different issues that you've got going on with this team right now. And most of it's offensively. Like, the defense here has been absolutely incredible. Specifically the front 7. Draymond Jones, DJ Jones, Bradley Chubb had a tremendous game. Baron Browning had a tremendous game against the Colts. Randy Gregory, before he had his knee injury, was really playing very well. He was like top 5, I think, in pressures in the NFL over the first 4 weeks of the season. So, like, defensively, there's not a whole lot of course correction.
Well,
just keep doing what you're doing.
Let's add the caveat here with the defense. Yes, they have been very impressive.
Oh,
but let's look at the quarterbacks and the type of offenses they played against.
Yep.
Geno Smith, Davis Mills, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, who's by far the best of the bunch, and then the cremated corpse of Matt Ryan and this Colts offense that somehow managed to win the game despite looking more inept all around than the Broncos offense did. And that's saying something because the Broncos offense was pretty inept. Like, let's take the defense with a grain of salt here a little bit, because with what we have seen, if they face a actual good quarterback like they're expected to go against the Chargers, it's not boding so well for them.
I'm with you on that one, and you're absolutely correct. There is some context that needs to go into this. I just want to try to keep a little bit of positivity going into this thing. Miguel Santasteven,
no,
in here.
There is no positivity allowed. No, not after last night.
Yeah, not after Sunday specifically. Miguel, thanks, man, for joining us tonight on Facebook, dropping some stars for us. What's up, fellas? A rough game to be at, but my daughter had a blast. Hey, I'm jealous, dude. I'm jealous. Obviously, Erick went to the 49ers game a couple weeks ago. I haven't been to a game since last year. The last time we did the Mile High Huddle meet and greet. To go to the games, there's always fun. I've never witnessed a loss, so maybe I should start going to more, and maybe I can turn the tide around of this Broncos franchise. But glad you had fun. Glad your daughter had a lot of fun, and it's a pleasure to have you in the show with us tonight, man. Thank you so much. So while we're at it here, we've got just a couple more names I want to grab here. Obviously, Brad dropping a couple of comments about how there's 31st in the league in cap money, player, and injuries. Yes, you're absolutely right. Jay Valentine, what's up, man? Jay Kozad, Diamond Rattler in the house. Obviously, Miguel, we just saw him. Wayno Hegemeyer, what's going on, guys? How are we all doing? Thank you all for joining us. Got 111 pairs of eyes on us right now, 13 liking emojis and reacts and everything like that. Guys, please smash the like button for us and help the algorithm just a little bit. Let's get into this here, Erick. So it's been 5 weeks, and it's seemingly getting worse offensively.
Only 5.
Specifically. Yeah, only 5, and it feels like the season's over at this particular point. And I'm not saying that the Broncos are done. I'm not saying that it's not unfixable by any stretch of the imagination. It is looking very grim, though. This offense continues to just get worse and worse and worse. That game against the Raiders was against one of the worst, if not the worst defense in all of the NFL. Scoring 23 points against that Raiders team, probably not something you want to take most of a positive away from, because then you put up 9 against the Colts. Erick, offensively specifically here, there's a lot of directions that I want to go here, but the very first thing is obviously where it all starts. And that's not the quarterback play, because the first person that touches the ball on every single play is the center position. And Lloyd Cushenberry, man, he has been rough this year. Rough.
I'm going to preface this by saying every single one of the offensive linemen has been bad.
Yes.
Every single one. They are not putting forward a unit that is worthwhile. They started off decent against the Seahawks. They got a little worse against the Texans and have progressively gotten worse. Mm-hmm. One thing that I have noticed, though, in the defense of the offensive line, is they have gone away from outside zone as frequently as they were to start the season and are going more inside. And their run blocking is actually, and their run success, not necessarily their blocking, their success in the running game has actually improved a little bit. This is an offensive line that they do not have the mobility to be working the outside zone runs that we were brought in. And at least we are seeing them adjust from that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Still so many issues here. Garrett Bowles has been not so great as a run blocker all season long. And in the last few games, he's been struggling in pass protection. Dalton Reiser, let's just time to move on. He's just completely destroyed as a player. He had a solid rookie season and just progressively has gotten worse. Lloyd Cushenberry doesn't know what the word development means. He only knows what regression means, and he continuously has gotten worse. Graham Glasgow, who has been bad, has been the best Broncos offensive lineman the last 2 weeks, and that is not because he's been good. That is because of how bad everyone else has been. Yeah. And Cameron Fleming has been the 4th biggest problem on the offensive line, and in no way, shape, or form should that be the case. Cam Fleming should not be the 4th biggest issue.
No,
that is just how messy this offensive line is. Lloyd Cushenberry needs to take a seat. Graham Glasgow, ideally you can take him a seat, but how can you can't really afford that. You got to move him over to center, because Cushenberry you cannot leave out there. And I'm not throwing Luke Wattenberg out there. No way in hell am I doing that, because of what we saw in the preseason. He looked completely lost at center.
Yeah. This team needs Quinn Miners in such a bad way, and I never thought that I would say that. 3rd-round draft pick out of Wisconsin, Whitewater, D3 player, but they need him. They need that tenaciousness, that ferocity that he brings, that violence that he brings at the guard position. They need him back so bad. It's really, really bad, because then you open up Graham Glasgow to be able to go play that center position. Dalton Reisner needs to be put on the hot seat as well. I think that he has been rough, but I think a lot of the reason why he's been rough is because Garrett Bowles has been rough and Lloyd Cushenberry has been rough as well. And there's so much synergy. It's Nick Kendall's favorite word, synergy and reliability on the offensive line, getting to know the players that are around you and working off of those players. If you have to ever help somebody out with an assignment, you better be able to do that and then get back to your assignment as well. The twists and stunts, the communication from center to guard to tackle has been rough at best. Russ Wilson hold on to the football a little bit too long doesn't necessarily help that. But at the same time, this team with Miners, where he was the guy calling out line protections last year at times. It was him and Reisner. Those guys, and that's Quinn Miners as a rookie last year, calling out line protections for Lloyd Cushenberry and the quarterbacks that couldn't figure it out. They need him back badly, and hopefully it sounds like he's going to be available and ready to come back week 6 against the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football. So, it's frustrating.
With Miners is expected back against the Chargers, and with what we have seen with Fleming's not great, how do you not look at this offensive line as the coaching staff and think Billy Turner to left guard, Glasgow to center, and Quinn Miners at right guard? Because you don't have many other options. Tom Compton, just forget about that. I doubt we see him this season. And they did nothing else to protect their line tackle or their right tackle position, because going cheap at that position with 1-year deals is such a great idea there, George.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not much else you can do. You can turn to Natani Moody, I guess, but I mean, clearly there's an issue there because he didn't even make the roster. I mean, there's a reason why they cut him. All the praise that he got kind of screams that they were just trying to prop him up to trade him before he hurt his knee. Luke Wattenberg, again, a rookie, completely looked like there's just so many issues with this team, with this offensive line unit, that you don't have many options what to do it. And then you have to question, does Nathaniel Hackett have the balls to do it? And is Butch Berry even a good enough coach who has had multiple rumors coming out about how much he isn't liked by the players on the offensive line already? Those started coming out before the season even started. It's just a whole mess. And is there a solution to it? I don't know. I doubt it.
No, but getting Cushenberry off the field is probably the first start in the first step in getting that corrected. Getting Miners back is obviously the very first one, but then figuring out a way to get Lloyd Cushenberry off the field, whether it's Glasgow, whether it's Miners himself playing the center position, Glasgow playing guard. I like your idea of putting Billy Turner at left guard there, and now you're going to need a reliable pass protection guy, which not that Turner's great as a pass protector at tackle, is at least serviceable at guard. And now you're starting Calvin Anderson at the left tackle position because Garrett Bowles is going to miss the season after he broke his leg last night. So that's another interesting conversation. We probably could have went in a different direction here tonight to address that, to address the left tackle position, but there's no answers out there. It's Tyden Secchi and Eric Fisher. Those are the best guys available on the free agent market. And there's no capital to trade for anybody. There's no one on practice squads. The Broncos are screwed.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious.
With the offensive line, now is the perfect time to shake it up. I said that before the game because it wasn't working going into the game, and it got even worse during the game.
Yep.
You are on a mini bye week. Shake it up, move players around, and guess what? You have 3 weeks. And if it still doesn't work, then you have the bye week. Shake it up again. At least try to do something. And this was an issue I had with Vic Fangio, Pat Shurmur, Rick Scangarello, all the guys over the past few years since Peyton left with this offensive line. When things weren't working, they refused to switch it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Colts here, they switched up their offensive line. It didn't work out. But hey, at least they tried something.
Yep.
It wasn't good enough to start. They tried to fix it. Their biggest issue is they have Matt Pryor, who is probably the worst tackle I've ever watched. He makes Michael Schofield look like an actual, Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackle here. He was absolutely tremendous. The only person that he beat last night that he won a rep against, was Deshaun Williams. Everyone else consistently just beat Matt Pryor. Everyone. Jonathan Kongbo got around him against the run a couple times.
Twice.
And wasn't credited with the pressure, but should have been. Draymond Jones, DJ Jones didn't go against him, neither did Mike Purcell, but Baron Browning, Bradley Chubb, Nick Bonito just consistently was running around him. Like, Matt Pryor is terrible, but at least the Colts tried something. So Denver, hey, try something.
Yeah. They have to do something. Sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, but I'm pretty well lost. Like, we've run through the entire conversation there. That's like the one biggest fix that you need to have from this team to make them go. It all starts up front. It always has. That's how it starts offensively and defensively. The game is played in the trenches. Yeah, quarterbacks rule the league, and throwing the ball is a big thing. But if you don't have an offensive line that can protect your quarterback and a quarterback that can deliver the football, even when he is pressured a little bit, to these receivers, like that, you're talking tertiary options here going out past what this game is actually like. It's a simple game. Block guys up front, keep them from hitting your quarterback, and open up run lanes for your running backs. There you go. If you want to throw the ball, you throw the ball. Football is an easy, very simple game. Gurus make it difficult. Okay, you don't have to think very difficult ways about this. It starts up front, and the Broncos aren't getting it done there. They're just not. As Scott said when we were coming into this, we have scab level players. They're like players that are not NFL quality players right now, starting on our offensive line, and that's not okay. Like that's the one fix that we can get here.
Yeah, you gotta do more. You gotta do more to fix it because it's not working. It's hurting the running game. It's hurting the passing game. Although the issues with the passing game go far beyond that. And even though like there's scab players, like that makes it all the more reason why you have to try to figure something out. You have to like this is you gave Russell Wilson all that money. You hyped up this whole offseason like playoffs or bust coming from the team themselves.
Yep.
And this is what you're doing, and you're not going to try and correct it.
Mm-hmm.
Changing up the offensive line is the one thing they have to do.
Yeah.
They have to. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your guys that are out there starting, most of them need to take a bench. And now that you're getting players back, Billy Turner, he could have played last night, but he didn't. Coach's decision, from what I understand it, should be back for the Chargers game. Quinn Minor should be back for the Chargers game. You're getting guys back. You're getting the guy who you wanted at started at right tackle. You got your guy who was your starter at right guard. You're getting them back. Those are some changes. You need more. Your left guard and your center are problematic, severely problematic. Your right tackle, again, not ideal, but at least he's holding his own, I guess. Like, he's exceeding expectations because expectations for Cameron Fleming are literally nothing. And now you have Calvin Anderson there. Now is a time to sit there and make the adjustments because the communication is already going to change up quite a bit along this offensive line. Give them a few weeks, tell the bye week, then you can change it again. Outside of that, like there's no the outside of that, the other changes this team can make are things that are like, okay, Russ has to get over himself and not calling him a prima donna, but he's got that attitude of, will he actually do that?
Yep.
I doubt it. So those kind of changes probably don't happen. But when it comes to the coaching decisions of changing up the offensive line, that is one that is actually possible.
And with the way that they tinker around with the offensive line in OTAs and in minicamp and in training camp, they had to throw out a bunch of different combinations because they were trying to find out who the best five were, because they didn't have Billy Turner. They didn't have Dalton Reisner. No, those are your two projected starters at left guard and right tackle. Neither one of those guys were available over the summer. They had to play Netani Moody at left guard. They had to play Calvin Anderson at right tackle. Now, Anderson's going to play left tackle here. Obviously, we already know that's pretty much going to be set in stone here. Calvin Anderson's going to be the guy there. But they tinkered around with everything. They tinkered around with pretty much every offensive line combination that they could, except for having Tom Compton out there. So they've already got the steps in place. They've already got at least some kind of the communication figured out. They've already shown the willingness to do that. There was I believe it was that last comment that Scott just threw up there from our Twitch supporter. I didn't catch the name. They have the opportunity to do that right now, but will they? That's the biggest question. That's the big thing. Beautiful Jones says, "I'm here for the slop." Yeah, we're all here for the slop right now. There was one that I wanted to grab. Regardless, it doesn't matter. the big thing in here is there has to be some kind of awareness of this isn't working. Whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the sequencing and the play calling, which I have issues with, whether it's the next thing that I want to get into here, which is the execution, just plain and simple execution of playing quality football. Something needs to change here. And like I said earlier, it starts up front. The whole basis of the NFL, of football in general, starts from snap to center. Everything in front of that is where the basis of football begins, the offensive and defensive line. You have to fix that.
The big issue with execution, it's hard to do much when your center in passing plays is literally giving your quarterback a lap dance because he got pushed back that far.
Wow.
Like, and Glasgow is giving up pressures pretty frequently. Like, he still has his wins. He had some good ones against Buckner, but of course he got beat for that sack, and that was on him. It was a great play by Buckner, but Glasgow needed to be ready for it. You have Reisner, who doesn't use his hands. I don't know how many times I noted last night when I was watching the games over that he was throwing blocks with just his shoulders. Yep. No hand involvement whatsoever. Yep. Even after moving and engaging on a second level, he would still go and run into them.
Yep.
Like, he's not a starting quality offensive lineman, and he's not really a premier backup one either at this point. Mm-hmm. But when you get to the execution for it, cleaning up the offensive line will help, especially in the run game.
Yeah.
Changing up, it is nice that we are seeing them change up what they are calling in the running game a little bit to at least help cover up a lot of the issues that the Broncos offensive line is having, because they don't have movers. This offensive line was never built for the outside zone scheme. Then you add in the fact that they don't have the tight ends to run an outside zone scheme or the receivers for the outside zone scheme. Like, it's a gap power team. Like, it is. So changing up the offensive line could help with that. Making those changes helps a little bit. Outside of that, when it comes to fixing the pass game, outside of cleaning up the pass protection, can we get better execution from Wilson? Because at this point, I'm not really sure. Can we?
I think you can. I think that there's a lot of him predetermining his reads, like 70% of the time. So he has to start reading this offense. He has to start reading the defense, man. Like, I love this narrative. I got a great joke for you here. I love this narrative of, like, everyone's like, let Russ cook. Let him throw the ball around. All right, well, we decided that we're going to let Russ cook in this offense, and he looks like a line cook rather than the executive chef. Like, he's not that guy right now. He's not actually making these wonderful dishes, making these wonderful throws. He's not the guy that's, like, slinging it all over the yard. That's never been his game. And now, why do you want him to do that now? Let him go out there and create some stuff. Move the pocket around. Get him on the bootlegs and stuff like that. Get him back into his comfort zone. Stop trying to recreate the wheel with Russell Wilson, at least at this particular point in his career, and see if you can get back a little bit to the, not really basics, but the schoolyard stuff. Like let him just go out there and do what he needs to do. I understand, and I know where you're going to go with this. You're going to say, well, his legs don't look the greatest. He hasn't been.
No, that's not where I was going to go with this at all.
Okay,
they're not doing that because he doesn't want to do it. He wants to be a pocket quarterback. He wants to be Peyton freaking Manning, and that's not him.
Exactly.
His legs are not what they used to be and everything. There is still enough there to use a rollout game and be effective with it, but that's not what he wants to do. And Coach Hackett is bent over backwards to make him work. This is why I asked the question is, can we get more effectiveness out of Russell Wilson? Because we're trying to run an offense that he wants to run that he can't run. He makes his reads. He makes his determination with his throw before the snap is made. He did it at least 75% of the time last night. Mm-hmm. One of the times led to an interception. The other time, the incompletion that just secured the loss for the Broncos. And those are just the two biggest times. Yep. Both of them, KJ Hamler was wide open. KJ Hamler has 5 targets this season, catching 2 of them. Is there not trust there, or is it an actual matter of Russell Wilson can't see him because Russell Wilson's so short and Hamler is so short that he just can't see him? He loses sight of him. Like, what is it? Because Hamler was consistently open against the Colts last night. We saw him use 4 snaps against the Raiders only. One of them was that big play. But anyways, he was consistently open. He should have had about 8 to 10 targets from last night's game because of how open he was. Yep. Wilson's not even looking his way. Jerry Jeudy is being misused in this offense. Granted, Jerry Jeudy is having some good performances from it because what Jerry Jeudy does best is what Russell Wilson can't do. Jerry Jeudy works well in the middle of the field, not necessarily to make those tough catches, but getting open, getting separation, and doing that. But who's their middle of the field receiver? Tyree Cleveland, who can't block, who's there for special teams and blocking, and he can't do either. It is a complete slot fest. We're living in a pigsty here in Denver. It's just a complete mess with coaching that doesn't look like they can say no to their quarterback. And honestly, if you're George Paton, how can you tell your coaches to say no to the quarterback that you just willingly paid $245 million for without seeing? Like, It is just a complete mess. There's no solution. I'd say more, but I'd actually probably get in trouble for more. But.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say we're pushing some lines here because you got to be somewhat casual about our analysis and not throwing people under the bus and stuff like that. But it's time.
No. That isn't even it. Our analysis is our analysis.
Yeah.
And if it is throwing somebody under the bus, good, because nobody in the Broncos is going to do it. They can't bother to do that. Yeah. They don't have that accountability.
Right.
We get Russell Wilson all sour and everything after the game, still mumbling his bull crap slogan of "Let's ride."
Oh, yes.
You want to do something? You want that slogan? Do something first.
Yep. Yeah, that was read the room, dude. Like, you're 2-3, you're playing like crap right now, and you literally have no offensive production at all. You scored 75 points in 5 freaking games, dude. Figure it out. Like, you got paid $245 million, 165 of that fully guaranteed. Like, whew, it's it's rough. Prime time Bugly game coming. So if Erick and Lance wear bags on the pods, we are doomed. Yes, sir. I love it. That's a great comment there. The execution, though, from Russell Wilson, whether it's reading the defense a little bit better, playing within the scheme a little bit better, doing what he needs to do, delivering the football. How about let's get your footwork right? Just a little bit. That's a big thing to me. How many times have we seen him miss wide open receivers with bad throws, let alone the ones he's not seeing? Missing receivers that are open with bad throws, including a dirt ball on like a 3rd and 5 to Albert Okwuegbunam against the 49ers. You've got the Jerry Jeudy miss behind him against the 49ers as well. He dirted another one. I think it was to Jerry Jeudy against the Raiders. There was 3 different errant passes where he's throwing off his back foot and not driving the football to where it needs to go to his receivers against the Colts alone, including both of those interceptions where his footwork was terrible, including the last play of the game where he was throwing a sidearm underneath submarine style throw to get around into an open window when all he needed to do was step back, drop his foot, and then fire a strike to KJ Hamler on the slant. Like, there's some execution issues with Russell Wilson that you can point specifically to. Him holding on to the football is driving me insane here lately, and then not using his legs to escape. Like, there's some issues that you can get with Russell Wilson just in his execution of playing the quarterback position that can get better.
Last night's quarterback play was the worst quarterback we've had since Tim Tebow.
Whoa.
By far. And what we've had this season is probably, 5th best since we've had since post Peyton Manning. Like, that's how bad Russell Wilson has been. Like, and I'm glad, like, I've been like biting my tongue a little bit about it because obviously there was still time that they could put it together, but these issues have been there all game long. He hasn't looked at Hamler Hardy at all this season.
Right.
There were multiple plays against the Seahawks where Hamler was open and he doesn't look his way. Hamler has had every right to be as pissed off as he was after that game, slamming his helmet to the ground because he had the win. The win was there, and Wilson won't even look his way because he made the predetermined read of Cortland Sutton. And here's the bigger issue with that. It was so obviously man coverage, and he should have known the call. Your man coverage routes are on your right. Your zone beating coverages are on your left, and he locks in on the left. An obvious man. It was such an obvious call, or such an obvious read, and he settles in on the zone beater.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? This raises or gives evidence to what was coming out of Seattle during the offseason that so many of us included, were writing off as sour grapes from Seattle. is Russell Wilson doesn't read a defense very well. Russell Wilson gets stubborn and wants to do things his way. Russell Wilson locks on reads. All this stuff that we've heard and everything for a while that was creating issues in Seattle. We have our evidence. It's there. It's
there.
True.
Mm-hmm. Ty Wychunas, I believe I got that name right. If I didn't, I do apologize for that. But Ty jumping in here on Facebook, dropping some stars. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Also, new name. Welcome into DVDD, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. Comes in and says, it's a shame so many primetime games and we can't produce. And all honesty, this offseason, no one saw this coming. I want to piggyback off of this really fast because Erick and I have gone back and forth multiple different times about what's going on with the media and what we are talking about privately, him and me and Nick and Carl and everybody else in our group chat. What goes on in there stays in there, whatever. The media and what you heard from fans in attendance at practice and what you were hearing from just everybody that was at training camp. I wasn't there. I didn't see it with my own two eyes. I probably could have saw a lot of these hints that were coming out, but man, we were sold a bill of goods that's rotten underneath and rotting from the core. It's starting to spoil the entire truck of this offense is supposed to, like, it's going to look really good. It's going to be so much better. Russell Wilson looks great. There's some timing issues we're kind of working through and whatnot. No, bull crap. Absolutely not. That is not what is going on right now. This offense is, like Erick said, yeah, it's Tebow bad. I don't know if it's Tebow bad, but it's worse than Trevor Siemian.
No. I said that the quarterback play we had last night was the worst since Tebow.
That's
and
fair,
that
yeah.
kind of turns it. At least with Tebow's offense, we could run the ball though.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like this team is so unprepared and disorganized. They're just disappointing.
On that note,
like that's all it is. It's a straight disappointment because, like I said, we were sold a bill of goods that was like this offense is going to be like this is a playoff contending team. There's enough talent here. The offense is going to click. It's going to look great. The defense is ferocious. It's insane. But it's not, and it's so frustrating to me right now. So frustrating. I'm sorry for freaking out, guys.
On that note, talking about the unpreparedness of this team and all this stuff like that, did you see Hackett's comment today?
I didn't actually. I was.
He second guesses every play call.
Yep.
Okay, like I can understand, a play doesn't work and everything like that, and you kind of like, well, maybe we should have done this instead. Every play call, though, you're second guessing. Dude, give it up. Like, give up play calling. Like, have some confidence for sake. Like, if you're second guessing every single play call, that to me is just screaming that you don't have the confidence in yourself to actually call proper plays. I'm not sure Justin Houghton will do a better job, but at least maybe he'll have confidence. And want to know what's something else that's great about this? And this is going back to the offensive line real quick, talking about all the spoonful of sugar that ended up being salt and vinegar that we got over the offseason. Mike Munchak wasn't retained because he doesn't like to coach the outside zone scheme. Hey, there's truth to that.
Yeah.
It's well reported. Do you know how he spent part of his offseason? In Minnesota, helping install an outside zone scheme and coach it up. And guess what? We have Butch Berry, who doesn't know how to coach any scheme, and now they're going to the schemes and the concepts that Mike Munchak can coach. Mm-hmm. We have mostly the same personnel on this offensive line as we did last year to start, and they have taken a significant step back. Like, what is up with this coaching staff? Is this a one and done coaching staff? Because it's sure starting to feel that way.
It is. And I can tell you right now, and I haven't looked at the poll on my Twitter account. Last I knew it was right about 100 votes, somewhere around in there. I put a poll on my Twitter account earlier today. The first thing this morning, Erick, I actually messaged you guys about this. And it was the question that I asked was, is Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett trending towards being on the hot seat right now? Last I looked, it was like 90 votes or something like that. 89% of the vote said yes. Like the options were yes, no, and it's too early to tell. I clicked it was too early to tell because I think we'll see. Let's let this play out a little. We're 5 games, guys. Let's calm down. 5 games into this. There's a lot of
says the one who just slammed his desk.
Well, I'm tired of the bullshit narrative. I'm tired of the narratives. I'm sorry about that. I'm tired of the narratives here that we're getting from everybody else saying that this is what it's going to look like. We got lied to. Like, we did get lied to. Is there time to see it get better? Yes, absolutely. I still think it is a little bit too early to tell. I think that we're going to get towards later part of the season. We are going to see some things start to click. There's enough bright spots in certain times and places where I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. They're moving the ball well within the 20s for the most part. Like, outside of the Raiders game where they punted 10 times, they punted 7 times against the Colts as well. Short week, whatever. Like, you can make all the excuses you want to. For the most part, though, this offense is actually moving the ball well within the 20s. They're like, what, 1 of 9 in the red zone right now? Like, 9 times in the red zone in 5 games. It's pretty decent time. Like, you're getting to the red zone a fairly decent clip there. They also have 4 turnovers in the red zone. 2 of them were fumbles at the 1-yard line, and another one was a bad interception that Russell Wilson should have never thrown the ball there. He should have just thrown it away. Like, we're seeing this team move in the right direction. So I think that if you give it just a little bit of time to kind of just gel a little bit better, then yeah, we can, hold on to Nathaniel Hackett. But excuse me.
How much time? Whenever I hear that, how much time? Week 8?
Week 8.
You have a veteran quarterback, and sure, the coaching staff is young. You're giving them 8 weeks to try to put things together.
Well, no, if it's not put together after this 11-day period, then yes, we're going to be talking about Nathaniel Hackett being on the hot seat. I'll be jumping into that bandwagon. And if it's not
by week 4,
by 8,
by week 4, you should be showing improvements, and this team isn't. Like, so can they turn it around? Yeah, and Hackett can end up saving his job.
Yeah.
But Hackett being on the hot seat, talking about potentially changing everything, yeah, that's all fair game because this team has gotten worse. And it's not just how they're getting worse, or it's not just that they're getting worse, it's how they are getting worse.
Yep.
These issues fall directly on the coaching staff.
Yep.
And Chase, yikes. This is a conversation in week 5. People are starting this conversation 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
After a win, because of how bad this offense looked.
There were people that were having this conversation in week 1. There were
okay, that was a little bit extreme, but like,
yeah, but still, no. Who was it that put it out there? I can't remember who it was. It was a national media talking head. It was a tweet that I'd seen, and they had said specifically, Nathaniel Hackett has been booed at home in all 3 of his first home games. That should tell you how bad it is in Broncos country. Like, this fan base is not messing around, guys. They're just really not. It is.
We have high Bronco fans. Like, we get crap on by other Bronco fans all the time. Not us per se, but the fan base craps on other parts of the fan base because of how negative and the expectations for this team. There is a reason why expectations are so high for this team. It is an expectation that started and was sustained throughout Pat Bowlen's era that has been just completely tarnished over the remaining years. A lot of Bronco fans are fed up with what we are seeing. We were hyped up by the team this season, and now they're sitting there, and some of these fans are getting crapped on because we're still not being patient. So this goes back to what you're talking about, still giving them more time, is we've given them time.
Mm-hmm.
Years of time, and they still continuously miss. And the issues just continuously get worse. And yes, I understand quarterback situation, coaching situation. I understand all those issues.
I was actually going to go in a different direction there really fast. I'll let you continue. The sins of the father should not be the sins of the son. Just because of what happened in the last 5 years doesn't mean that what's going on with Nathaniel Hackett is still the same.
Trends.
It
is a trend of what we are seeing. It is the same issues. The injuries and how they are sustaining. I hate to be that guy who sits there and blames Lauren Landell, but honestly, at some point, you have to look at it, and despite all the freak injuries that Denver is having, you got to say something's got to give. Like, is there something with their training regiment that is actually happening? Who knows? But at some time, it's like, we've dealt with injuries enough. We just got to move on. Like, it's time for a split, seeing if something will happen. Will change. Will it? Who knows? Because correlation causation here doesn't add up here. Like, it's just a complete mess of it, and we're seeing the trends of this. So, yeah, sins of our father are not the sins of the son. Yeah, get that completely. But we're seeing the same trend. We're seeing the same thing. We're seeing the same mistakes. A same issue of we're not going to invest on the offensive line, and when we are, it's going to be guys who have injury concerns that we know about at the time of signing them.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about Juwan James. John Elway knew about Juwan James's knee. He was told it by Chris Cooper. Chris Cooper advised him, don't sign Juwan James because his knees are basically shot. He did it anyways. Donald Stevenson, Menelik Watson, Billy Turner knew about his knee concerns. We knew Tom Compton's back issues. They consistently do this. It is a trend that we are seeing. So sins of the father aren't the sins of the son. Throw that out the window because it's the trend that we are seeing.
Yep. Let me grab this from Base Case really fast with a $2 super, and thank you, Base Case, for joining us. Man, you got to get that profile picture back to the Adam Gase picture that you had, because that was the best profile picture that we had on this show by far. It's better than even the one of me and my wife on our wedding day. Like, it's so good, dude. He says we might as well give the play calling duties to Clint Kubiak. Honestly, in this scheme, he's the quarterback's coach. He's the one that's working with Russell Wilson the closest outside of Jordan. Or is it Jordan Heaps? I believe is his name. That's Russell Wilson's personal quarterback coach. Kubiak has called this offense, or at least a version of this offense before, up in Minnesota with the wide zone and stuff like that, working under Gary Kubiak. It's a big reason why Clint Kubiak is on this staff right now, is because of Nathaniel Hackett's respect for Gary Kubiak. I'm here for it. It's at least another change that may, you know what, get because Justin Alton's never called plays before, and Nathaniel Hackett hasn't called plays in the last 3 years till this year. When he was in Green Bay, he wasn't calling plays. That was Matt LaFleur. Give a guy that has some experience calling plays in this offense, take some stuff off of Nathaniel Hackett, and see what happens.
Okay, but the issue is this isn't the offense that Clint Kubiak is accustomed to.
Right.
This is part of the issue that a lot of Bronco fans are having, is they see outside zone and they think that it's Mike Shanahan's system. Mm-mm. It isn't. It is LaFleur's outside zone system that does mix up a lot of inside stuff for it. It's not the same thing. Kubiak doesn't have experience in it. And the bigger issue here is with the passing game of it. The passing game has nothing to do with it because it's all what Russell Wilson wants to do.
Right.
So they hired these coaches to set up this system, ended up getting a quarterback that doesn't want to do the system, and there's no meshing here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that, they hired Hackett to try to betting that they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to say that was the case 100%, but it does sure feel like it was, though.
Yeah. Josiah Overholt jumping in here with the $5 super. And Scott, there's a comment here by Diamond Rattler I want to grab directly after this. So if you can keep an eye on that really fast. So Josiah jumping in here, and thank you, Josiah, not to take away from your super chat and the love and appreciation we have for you, man. Says, do you think having Hackett not calling the plays might help? Great work, by the way, guys, and I love listening. And thank you for that. We put a lot of work into this, and it's always great to have people come in and listen to what we have to say. You guys are the reason that we're here, and without you, we couldn't do what we do best, which is cover the Denver Broncos for you guys. So thank you, Josiah, for that. I do appreciate it. And Diamond Rattler coming in here, and he says, where is it at? I just had it. He says, this is going to piggyback off of Josiah's questions here. He says, people have to understand Hackett was brought in to call the plays. Why is he going to give that up? So Diamond, no. Diamond Rattler, no. Nathaniel Hackett was not brought in here to call the damn offensive plays.
I can tell you exactly why he was brought in.
He was called in to be the head coach.
No, I can tell you exactly why he was brought in. He was brought in because Vic Fangio was too tough on players and Nathaniel Hackett was a player's coach. That is exactly why. It wasn't because he called plays. It was because he was nice and kind and player friendly. And that was how they viewed that they needed to go. And that is why they went with Hackett over Quinn, is because they felt they needed a little bit of relief in that department. That is why Hackett is the head coach. Not because he can call plays, because he's shown he's called plays before and didn't do the best job with it. He had that one great year covering up for Blake Bortles and then completely fell apart after that, which wasn't just his issue, also Blake Bortles. But the thing is why would he give it up? Because it's not working. If you're a head coach and you want to take accountability and your play calling's not work, you give it up. And how is this play calling not work? There are some creative passing designs. I'm not going to argue with that. There are some. Yeah. On one of the plays last night, there were some great ones. The final play was a great play, a great pass design. Like, it just was on Russell Wilson. But you can have those play designs being called by Outen or Kubiak or whoever, because the issue with Hackett is that he doesn't know how to sequence plays. He can't call plays to set up another play. He will sit there and try one thing, doesn't work, and he turns back and does it again.
Mm-hmm.
Shotgun runs, short yardage situations, continuously called. They're not working. Like, good coaches, good play callers, if stuff consistently doesn't work, they shelve it. Sure, they might call it again a little bit later down the road to try to catch a team by surprise, but they stop following that trend, and Hackett isn't.
Yep.
So he wasn't brought in to call plays. It was part of what you were getting when you brought him in. And for Erick, Sony says exactly Diamond, it's not Hackett. The issue isn't just Hackett, but the issue is partly Hackett. And these other issues that we have with Hackett when it comes to game management and all this stuff like that, and the decision making and stuff, maybe those can be helped by him giving up the responsibility of calling plays as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. And like I said before, you went on your insider information stuff there. He was brought in to be the head coach of this football team, and doing what's right for this team right now is being the head coach. Let your offensive coordinator do his job. Let your quarterback's coach do his job. Get your hands off it a little bit. Pull the Nick Sirianni like last year, because look at what the Eagles are doing right now. Nick Sirianni was calling plays for the first 9 weeks, decided that he needed to give up the play calling to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen created an offense built around what Jalen Hurts wants to do. They're the only 4-0 team in the NFL right now, and that offense is absolutely freaking lethal. Nick Sirianni's up for Coach of the Year because he made that choice himself to get rid of the play calling. I think Nathaniel Hackett needs to do the same thing.
Now, real quick, we were talking about this.
I was going to hit a bit. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to throw this out there. We were talking earlier about it before we went live about all the hope for Sean Payton. Let's just throw water on that fire. One, he's still under contract with the Saints, so if he does come out of retirement, he's still under contract with them. They'd either need to let him go or you have to trade for him. Two, he has eyes on the Dallas job. He has had eyes on the Dallas job for a long time. And the belief is that that's where his next stop is, and Jerry Jones is preparing for that. Number three, he is on record of complaining about how much Denver gave up for Russ. He doesn't want to work with Russ. Like, he just doesn't. And I can't blame him, honestly, with what we've seen. Maybe Russ can turn it around, but it's not what he wants. So, like, I like Sean Payton as a coach, but yeah, Denver's, like, him coming to Denver seems like a pipe dream. A pipe dream.
Yeah. All right, so let me hit this now. Mike Jones jumping in here on Facebook. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. The first time I've seen your name, for at least a profile picture here. But first time that I've seen you jump in here with us on DVDD. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you, man. It says, I met Elway and he won us a Super Bowl the next year. Then I met Peyton Manning and the same thing. So should I meet Russell? LOL. Yes, go meet Russell. If that's what it takes, is you meeting John Elway and won a Super Bowl and Peyton doing the same thing. Go meet Russell Wilson. It may not be this year, but next year, maybe we'll be talking about the Broncos winning the Super Bowl. God, they got to get better. And it's just so bad.
Cal comes in and says, hi, Lance. Just wanted to give you.
Cal. Thank you. Let's see here. We got one.
I did want to grab this because this is another point about Wilson. Andrew Lopez says, why does he need to step up and catch the ball Wilson is dropping on them? These guys haven't felt the power of a really, I'm sure there's more to it. Wilson doesn't know how to tempo his passes. So he's throwing 100% every single time. Or here we go. QB, yeah, give it time. Russ, we trust. Go Broncos. The drops are bad. Like, not excusing them. Mm-hmm. But some of these drops are because Wilson is placing it terribly because of bad mechanics, and or because he's throwing 100% when he's got to ease up a little bit. Like, that's a consistent issue with all quarterbacks. Josh Allen had that issue early on, is he didn't know how to tempo his passes, and we're seeing drops. He started tempoing it, we saw them drop a little bit. That was a complaint about Russell Wilson back in Seattle that the wide receivers had, is that he wouldn't ever, ease up on the velocity or how hard he was throwing the pass, and just gotta do that a little bit, and that'll help. Now, some of the drops are bad. Albert Okwuegbunam had a really bad drop. Jerry Jeudy has had a couple really bad drops. There have been some bad drops. There have also been drops that weren't counted, and there are also drops that were counted that shouldn't have been counted. So it's a little bit of everything, but you're not entirely wrong. The receivers do need to step up. Ball hits their hands, you need to secure it, but at the same time, Wilson also needs to ease up a little bit.
Yeah. And look at what happened with Josh Allen when he wasn't layering his passes in and doing a nice job against the Miami Dolphins. That Bills offense, which is explosive as all get out, looked bad. And they lost that game. And Josh Allen, he was under pressure a lot and just kept firing the football in there as fast as he could. I think they had 4 drop passes in that game, and one of them, and then he was making bad decisions too. So there's some parallels here that I want to kind of get with. And Eric, thank you for bringing up that point. Got one here from RD up in Canada, north of the 49th parallel. What's going on, RD? Another new name here on Dove Valley Deep Divers. Thank you for joining us. Losing sucks. Seattle's going to have our top 5 pick now. Sucks as well. I don't know if it's top 5 pick bad, but it's definitely at this rate top 15 pick for sure. Guys, it has to get better, and I do. We're going to be running out of time here in just a minute. I do want to say this really fast. It looks bad right now. And I want to go just full lose my mind, tear it all down, fire everyone. Russell Wilson's a bust. Like it. Yeah, I'm mad. I'm a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. However, you got to have a little bit of patience here. We're talking about, again, I've said it so many different times, first-time head coach, first-time offensive coordinator, new quarterback, new offense, new first-time everything, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on and on and on. You've got to have at least a little bit of patience somehow, some way, and understand that there are positive flashes here. There are a lot of things that you can take away, even from these losses. And yes, losing does suck. But there are a lot of positive things you can see that this team is turning it in the right direction. It may take a little bit longer than we wanted it to, and it may not end up with the Broncos making the playoffs this season. But it is getting better, and I will leave you with that.
Embrace the slop, Lance. Embrace it.
I'm tired of being negative, man. I've been covering the Broncos for Mile High Huddle now since May of 2018. That was the Case Keenum year.
See, you've had nothing but slop in your time covering them.
Exactly. I'm tired of it.
So you should be embracing it even more.
Man, no, I'm tired of living waist deep in a pile of pig slop. I'm tired of it, man. I want to see this team do good, and we had so many high expectations. I was so stoked about this team coming into this season. So I'm going to kind of keep to that. I'm going to keep going back to that a little bit right now, and it sucks right now. But it's still early. You're 2-3. The entire freaking league is 2-2 right now, except for it's like 22 out of 32 teams right now in the NFL are either 3-1 or 2-2. Like it's literally the whole team is tied for that spot. The Broncos are now 2-3. They're still in the thick of things. There's still a lot of time left.
It's week 5. Of course, they're still in the thick of things.
Yeah, like like this whole burn it all down, trade everybody and all that stuff is, to me, it's nonsense. I think you got to just have a little bit of patience here. Yes, be critical.
But the issue is
that's one thing. Go ahead.
The issue is the patience has worn thin. They haven't shown anything to deserve more patience. And quite frankly, they don't deserve patience because the expectations they put on themselves. Yeah. Period. Yep. They don't.
That was team driven too. Well, hold on. I want to just one thing. That was team driven too. The team leaked those media narratives out. It wasn't just the media that was there. There were some people that were questioning it. The team leaked that narrative out.
The players flat out said it.
Yep.
Hackett, Peyton, they all said it. Like, they don't deserve the patience. They brought this hype on themselves. If they came out and said multiple times, hey, we want to push for the playoffs, but it might take some time, sure, I'd be a little bit more patient with them. No, it was playoff or bust, all this stuff like that. They want the Super Bowl. Like, nah. Even though I knew how unrealistic that was, and I did have low expectations of maybe they compete for a playoff myself, it was the expectations they built on themselves that is why they do not get more patience. Not to mention, by week 4, week 5, that is typically when you have all these new elements. That is by when you should start seeing the results of it.
Yeah.
So somebody made a comment about Tim Jenkins saying week 8, week 9. No, that's too long, period. Like, because by week 4, week 5, you should start seeing results, and we're not. It's getting worse. We're having the same issues that are being magnified by other issues that are developing. Anyways, KB comes in with a $4.99 donation. Thank you, KB. We appreciate that.
Thanks,
Says, any
KB.
word on the Browning injury? He was killing it until he went down. Also, how confident in you in Mathis taking over for Darby? So at least for the good news is Baron Browning, I believe, is day-to-day. Josie Jewell is week-to-week. So that is some good news. Like, at least they're not done for the season. Mathis taking over for Darby. Unfortunately, Darby is out for the season towards ACL, along with Garrett Bowles, who broke his leg. They're done for the season. Mathis allowed multiple catches that were just like, why? How the heck did you catch that? How the heck did you allow to catch it? And I think the worst one is he allows the catch and he starts looking around like, what? Well, the guy's about to get up and start running for more. Fortunately, another Bronco is. Hopefully we see the Mathis we saw when Surtain went out against the Texans, because he played pretty well then.
He did.
And not the Mathis we saw against the Colts. No matter what, I would expect it to be a roller coaster for Mathis. Hopefully we see more of the positives and the development in that.
Well, you're talking about a 4th-round rookie coming out of Pittsburgh that, I mean, highly athletic, has a really good athletic pedigree.
That they were considering at 64.
Yes, that is a very true statement. I will give you that. However, we're talking about a 4th-round draft pick as a rookie coming in here that has a highly athletic draft profile. I love Damari Mathis coming out of Pittsburgh, man. Like I had a lot of fun watching him, and just wait, because I'm gonna start pounding the table on you on Kalijah Cansey, dude. Swear to God. Anyways, Damari Mathis, you're gonna expect to see some ups and downs. You have to. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ronald Darby being out's huge for this defense, though. I mean, your second best coverage cornerback, Pat Surtain, is playing well. I will say he's playing well, but a little overrated, if I'm being honest here. A little bit overrated. But yeah.
No, Surtain is playing good football.
He is. Yes,
he is being overrated as a shutdown corner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sure, how you define what a shutdown corner means to every person can be different. For me, a shutdown corner is a person who limits the number of catches as well as yards and getting takeaways. He's just not doing that. He's allowing catches and catches and catches, just limiting yards. So he's more of a limiting corner instead of a shutdown corner. Like, still good, still showing worth as that 9th overall pick, but like this tremendous improvement that we were expecting, we haven't for this season. We just haven't seen yet.
Well, and I think a lot of that is just with what they're asking him to do defensively. They're playing him off the ball, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, Pat Surtain was way better in press coverage, so get him at the line of scrimmage and let him do his thing. He's still playing well enough.
Someone needs to smack Evero in the back of the head for running a corner 15 yards off on 2nd and 1.
Yep.
You should never have your corners being beyond the first down marker ever.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. I'm right there with you on this one. Quick question before we get out of here. Last one, because I see somebody talking. It's Cal actually jumping in here saying Singleton at cornerback one, but I'm fairly certain linebacker one. I was impressed with Alex Singleton.
It's a joke.
Okay. Regardless. I don't care. I was impressed with Alex Singleton. I will say that. I thought that his hair on fire mentality when he plays was actually very nice.
He brought energy.
He does. He's a great tackler. He's all over the place.
I wouldn't say great. Erase that great that came out of your mouth. He is not a great tackler.
Okay, that's fair. He's a solid tackler.
He has missed like 10 tackles this season in his limited play.
But every single one of those misses, he's at least slowing down the runner enough for some guys to come and help him out. Like, he's not allowing a lot of yards after the tackle there. That I can remember. I need to go back and watch it again. But
there was one last night where I think it was Deion Jackson, might have been Philip Lindsay. It was one of the running backs.
Oh yeah,
but he had him around he had both his legs grabbed and then lets go on one and then breaks out and he gets broken out of the other and they go to pick up another 10 yards. Like, let's not say great tackler. He's fine, but
he's still been very nice. I thought that he played very well. So I just wanted your thoughts on that and to see if maybe my eyes were deceiving me a little bit. Yeah, maybe I overspoke a little bit, but at the same time, I was impressed with him. I thought that he's been very good for this defense. And like you said, he brings energy. He's all over the place. He does a really good job of containing guys and stuff like that. So, but anyways, guys, we're going to get out of here. Oh, go ahead.
One more point I want to make here before we get out of here. Damian Clark Warren says, stop trying to be something we're not. Running the ball is what we do. Denver can't run the ball, so that's not what they
Yeah.
can do. And you can't be a run first team because that is what made Seattle or made Russ want out of Seattle so bad.
Well, and like you
He
said
does.
earlier,
He doesn't want to be that. He doesn't want to, as you say here, he doesn't want to be a play action quarterback. Like he wants to be a pocket passing quarterback, and he wants to be on a passing first offense.
right.
Like those issues are because of what Russ wants to do that they're trying to, do.
Right. There's something I want to address, but I'm not going to. And now I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you all for joining us on the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. It's been fun, guys. It has been. This was a great conversation with everybody, and I can't wait to continue this conversation with you guys. Follow us on Twitter by finding me at Sanderson MHH, and for Eric at Erick Trickel. Also for Scott at Scout Kennedy. Also, guys, while you're at it, please at DVDD_pod. That's our podcast account. We find out what we're talking about every single Friday. At Mile High Huddle. That is the mother account of the Mile High Huddle podcast network, where you guys find breaking news and analysis, all of our film breakdowns, opinion articles, anything over at milehighhuddle.com. You're going to find it at Mile High Huddle on Twitter. Folks, if you're financially able, please head on over huddleuppod.com, guys. Get yourself a hat. Get yourself a t-shirt. There's coffee cups, face masks, anything professionally curated by Uncle Jeffy, who I didn't get to meet, but I heard about him. Anyways, Uncle Jeffy did a great job of, reorganizing the site, getting a lot of these great designs and everything like that. Huddleuppod.com. Get your merch, guys. That's the merch tent. Go over there and help support the show. It's a great way to be able to do so. And folks, if you guys aren't financially able to do so with super chats, going to the merch tent, anything like that, doesn't matter. We just love and appreciate all of your guys' support. So please, wherever you guys are at, subscribe. Down on the ticker on the bottom here, you're going to see it. Subscribe to Mile High Huddle on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you guys get your podcast content, wherever you guys are following us on social media. Please subscribe and follow at Mile High Huddle. Like every video and article you guys see, because that's a great way to help us out. And if you love it, share it, please. That's the best way to get us in front of as many Broncos fans as humanly possible, because without your guys' support, we couldn't do what we do best, which is cover your Denver Broncos. Now, Eric, obviously no football on for the Broncos this weekend because they lost to the Colts last night, but still football on the TV. You going to be watching anything specific, or what do you got going on, man?
After last night's game, I'm not watching football until I absolutely have to. I've had more than enough of football for, what is it, about 11 days or so now?
Yeah.
I've had more than enough of football. And then I get to deal with some slop again. No, I hope everybody has a good weekend, enjoys it, and hopefully, try not to take football too seriously. Live your life and, find happiness and joy elsewhere. Yep. And, just enjoy it and have a great weekend. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you all for joining us here on the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. Not anything special going on for me this weekend, but moving some hay around for my father-in-law and getting ready to go on my hunting trip. Oh, programming notes, guys. I will not be here on this coming Friday, October 14th, or the Friday after that, potentially. I haven't actually figured that out. The 21st, I probably not be here, but you won't. It won't be. Papa Chad will be here on the 21st.
Oh, Papa Chad will be here on the 21st. All right,
Papa
cool.
Chad.
So
not sure for next week yet. Not sure for next week.
So you get to get away from me and my horrible takes and my terrible draft knowledge and everything else that I do that's a really bad job here for Mile High Huddle. So anyways, I will see you guys here in a few weeks after I get back from my hunting trip. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great weekend, a great next couple of weeks. And we will see you guys the same time, same place next week right here on the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. Thanks, guys.